bring it back to business. Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board meeting of July 23rd, 2022. We will begin the meeting at 6:30 on the dot. And I will take roll call. Vice President Shabomaheen? Here. Trustee Alexander? Here. Trustee Polito? Present. Trustee Bloom? Here. And I myself am present. We have quorum. Now we will move on to item number 2, which is the approval of the agenda. I am going to pull item 7H. 7B. 7B. So 7B, 7H, 13B. Do we have any other?
Are you pulling now from the consent agenda?
Yes, or I can wait until later.
No, I'm just making sure. I can't find it, but I wanted to pull help. Oh, 7H. Did you say that? You said that already.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Thank you.
So just to repeat, I'm pulling item 7B, 7H, 13B. If we have no other additions, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
The chair will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Through the chair, can I get a clarification? So the consent agenda items you pulled for discussion, but 13B, are you pulling that from the agenda altogether?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And I'll second trustee Bowman's motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Now we will move on to item number 3, which is closed session. Before we go into closed session, we will open the floor to any members of the public who wish to address any matters that will be discussed during closed session. As I see none, we will go into closed session at 6:32 p.m. Thank you. Good evening. We will resume open session at 7:24 PM. And I will begin by reporting back on matters that were discussed during closed session. So for item 3A, there was no discussion. For item 3B, there was discussion. For item 3CA, there was no discussion. For item 3CB, there was discussion. For item 3D, there was discussion. And for item 3E, there was discussion and no action was taken during closed session. So now we will move on to item number 6, which is from the floor. So if there's any members of the public who wish to address the board on any matters that are not agendized, this is your time.
Through the chair, we have one speaker, Leland Francois.
Thank you.
Hi, Superintendent, Sedario Leland Francois, trustees. Item 6. I want to just briefly mention, I stuck my head in the door during the last meeting on the 9th. And I think one of the trustees was talking about the public safety and the emergency services for the school district, whether we were prepared or not. And I have somewhat of a background in emergency management, emergency preparedness, and based on my opinion and just what I know, working with the Menlo Park Fire, East Palo Alto Police Department, San Mateo County Office of Emergency Services, and all of mutual aid, no. And I'm not going to make a lot of comment on that, but I'll say no, we are far detached from being ready. So you can take that for what it's worth. And that's my presentation for the open floor item, talking about that. I have a radio operator's license, KI6AWN. I'm setting up emergency communications in Mountain View. So I have somewhat of a background, but just in response to that comment that was made is needed. And I would recommend that on every agenda item from here on, should have a section set aside for public safety, upgrading public safety comment for the entire school district. And it's relevant today because, of course, the media has brought to our attention. There's just too much. There's a lot of health and safety issues going on across the country. And it's based on communications and it's based on so many factors, but you should stay prepared. We should stay prepared continuously. And that's all I'm going to say on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? As I see none, we will move on. Thank you, sir. We will move on to number 7, which is the consent agenda. We've pulled item 7B and 7H. So I believe item 7B was pulled because Vice President Shibomahine was absent. So I will entertain a motion to approve I will entertain a motion for item 7B.
I move to approve item 7B.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All abstain.
Aye.
Thank you.
Abstain. Sorry.
So the motion carries 4 with Vice President Shibomahine abstaining. Now we will move on to item number 7H, which is the consideration to approve an MOU with Health Connected. I pulled that item. I have the same concerns that I highlighted last year with the curriculum between 3rd and 5th. So I pulled it for that matter. Do we have any other questions or comments regarding item 7H?
Through the chair, I don't have any questions or comments, but as I pulled it for the reason it's the same reason I pulled it at our last renewal, is that I also have concerns and they continue. So I also will not be voting in favor of this.
So I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to pass item 7H.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
So the motion fails to carry with a vote of 2-3 with President Latu, Vice President Shabot Maheen, and Trustee Polito voting against. Now we will move on back to the consent.
Through the chair, I just have a question, after this vote, since it did not carry, because this is a state mandated thing that we have to give to our student by the state, the law. Is this going to be coming up as an agendized item in the next board meeting? And how will we make sure that we are meeting the state mandate and law to teach this material?
I will, through the chair, I will need to go back and explore if the concerns around the curriculum for 3rd through 5th grade, I can bring back more information specifically regarding that. I wasn't sure if there's any concerns around the 7th grade curriculum. But there is a requirement that we will need to.
And through the chair, I'm confirming that when we are voting against this, we are voting against all parts of this. So this includes curriculum from not just grades 3 and 5, but this includes curriculum for grade 7 as well.
Yes,
Okay,
because it's
thank
one
you.
item.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that everybody is clear.
Yeah, it's not separated out. So.
Right. So there is something that we as a board have to pass before the school year starts so that, or as the school year starts, so that we are meeting the mandate and law of California.
Well, when our concerns are addressed, it could come back before us and we'll consider it for about then.
I will bring it back before the board in August,
Yes, because we have a meeting before school starts,
August 11th.
August 11th.
Yep.
Thank you. Moving back, sorry.
Through the chair, our speaker, Mr. Francois, did want to say something on item 7V, I believe it is. Which is the Los Robles Garden Project. I don't know, since it's a consent agenda item and if he's allowed to speak or not.
They are allowed to speak for consent, but it would be after we're done with this item.
After we're
So,
done.
yeah.
Okay, then that was one clarification on when. Thank you.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So this is when
Oh,
he was,
sorry.
so he would be able to speak before we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, so we'll take a speaker for item 7B.
Correct, 7V. So Mr. Francois.
Again, Leland Francois, DBA doing business as Ravenswood Garden Kits Products. For 30 years, you've got a 3-page PSA before you, I brought in for your review. I've been working on Ravenswood, California's 150-year-old history. And the agricultural industry goes back more than 125, 150 years. And if we go to George Washington Carver, he was a Black inventor. He actually came through, he assisted the state of California during the turn of the century at producing food. Of course, California has an $80 billion a year agricultural industry. I'm the inventor of Ravenswood Garden Kits Products. This is a very unique item that I put on the market. I innovated it, developed it, and I'm marketing it now because they're in production. I have a display cart. Some of you may or may not have seen it. You may have seen the display cart attached to my bicycle. I pull around and do my advertising. Ravenswood Garden Kits Products. I think I got quite a bit to offer the school district. I'm trying to reestablish the historic significance of Ravenswood, California. We're vanishing off the map, but my products are available. And I think the children within Ravenswood has grown to appreciate what I've done. So if you get an opportunity, you may want to consider doing business with Ravenswood Garden Kits Products. I don't know who this RKB is or what organization it is, but I've got 30 years background in agriculture development. I've got a product that's going across the United States, hopefully, and supporting the United Nations. And
Thank you, sir.
the United Nations was founded here in this community in 1945.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
19
Sorry, your time is up.
All right, I just
Thank
I
you.
want to place an emphasis on our United Nations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do we have any other question or comments from the board regarding the consent agenda? As I see none, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
Sorry, a motion to approve the consent agenda
approve.
minus items B and H.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items B and H.
I will second that.
All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Now we will move on to item number 8, which is seeking direction for Measure I construction.
Good evening, trustees. I have some good news that I suppose is not yet official, which is on June 7th, and really in the weeks leading up to it with mail voting. It looks like at the latest count, over 71.8% of Ravenswood voters approved Measure I, with the votes fully counted at this point. It's a huge milestone, and thanks to many of the trustees, particularly Trustee Bloom, who led the campaign for the hard work there. We're now starting and are hoping to start kind of over the summer some of the design work for the district so that we can hit the ground running. In the past, construction costs have gone up pretty significantly each month. So right now it's $110 million, and it can buy $110 million worth of things. With each month, with each year that passes, that due to construction inflation costs, the value of that really goes down dramatically. And so we want to try and hit the ground running as quickly as we can when we come back in the fall, kind of ready to go. We've got some facility subcommittee meetings over the summer where we sort of dive into some of this. We're really hoping to move quickly, especially on the Belhaven design. We're also moving forward with 2 projects the board already approved in part, which would be replacing 2, not exactly sure of the precise word used here, but almost uninhabitable spaces at Belhaven with 2 brand new modular classrooms, as well as finishing the Los Robles Outdoor Learning Science Center. So we are working on sort of the designs for that with the hope of finishing that work next summer. So not this upcoming summer, the following summer. In terms of the sort of big design work around the bulk of the $110 million bond, I just want to reiterate the amount of time it takes to really get a design ready. It is a lot of work. And this is sort of a standard construction timeline. It's not necessarily perfect, but you can see the categories of designing it, finalizing the designs, making sure, the sinks are in the right place, the faucets work, the wiring works. Getting approval from the state architects takes months, right? It's months of iteration back and forth. The total timeline for this can take 16 months to get a big design process done. I think it took about that, if not longer, for the middle school. And so we really want to kind of hit the ground running, get started. So we did some work, and I have the slides for reference here in the back from our sort of earlier presentations. I won't go through all of them now. But our sort of proposed approach for this is we believe, and I think in consultation with the board and various discussions and public forums and facility subcommittee meetings, have talked about, which elementary schools to start with, knowing the middle school is mostly done or mostly renovated. And we're proposing starting with Belhaven. We believe that's the school that really needs the most upgrades now. And so that's our sort of proposed approach. The dollar numbers are from our earlier presentation. I think we're going to keep honing that. I don't think it's worth sort of anchoring too much on those, but they're directionally right. Belhaven, I think, needs the most work. Castaño needs a good bit less, but still quite a bit of investment. And Los Robles needs a little bit less than Castaño, still quite a bit of investment though. And so here's kind of our sort of overall tentative plan. And I'm just coming to you with feedback. Again, we'd like to start the design process this summer and really kind of hit the ground running. We just want to have a forum or a chance for the board to provide any feedback to this plan. as a high level approach. That concludes my presentation.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board?
Through the chair. So this assessment is also based on our facilities master plan and what's left to accomplish on that, right? I'm sure that was incorporated into this. I mean, I think this is a fair assessment, and I think we've all walked the campuses to understand where greatest needs lie. And I definitely feel that we do start with Bellhaven. It's a great school, great students, families and staff, but our facilities also need to mirror that greatness. So I'm supportive of this proposal and this direction.
Any other questions or comments? Just to piggyback, I agree with trustee Polito. I like the direction. I do think we do need to start fairly quickly in the development world. The construction costs are only going to continue to get higher. And with our economy where it's at now, I think it's important that we take a lead on that. I do want to just say that the Bellhaven community has been very vocal on the need to prioritize Bellhaven. So I think that this is a good way that we are able to set a foot forward to saying that, yes, we have been hearing a lot of the things that you all are saying. We're not prioritizing saying that one school is better than the other or anything like that. That's not where we're going. But I will say that Bellhaven community members and council members have really pulled for this. And so I think that it's a great start, and I agree with your recommendation.
Through the chair, I will also say I agree. Just to continue what you were saying is, I think it's going to be really important to make sure that the community is also brought in these discussions, and making sure that they know that the discussions are happening and that they are invited to also participate fully. So I'm excited to see first the two buildings that are going to be renovated for the TK students, or the TK classrooms that are getting renovated, and then also just with this new bond to be able to invest significantly in Bellhaven. So thank you.
Just to set expectations for the community as well as the trustees. There may be some demolishing of buildings, but we do anticipate sort of to the studs modernization work, similar to what we did at the middle school. So we don't want to set the expectation that we're, razing a school to the ground and building an entirely new school. Certainly those two that are falling apart definitely will not be are not salvageable at this point.
Wonderful. Is there any other questions or comments?
Through the chair, y'all said it all, but I just want to say congratulations to the subcommittee who helped promote this Measure I, this bond measure. I wasn't here last meeting to say that, so congratulations.
And through the chair, also thank you again to the community for voting, coming out and saying yes.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Good job. Now we'll move on to item number, I think you have your direction. Yes,
Yes.
okay. So we'll move on to item number 9, which is presentation on results of the staff housing survey.
Thank you, trustees. The district is seriously pursuing creating housing for staff that would be affordable housing with a staff preference. As part of that, the design work and the thinking behind that, we did do a survey several years ago of our staff to gauge interest in a hypothetical housing project. We wanted to update that. We know times have changed in the last couple of years, and we're pleased to present the findings of that survey tonight. Overall, just for context, we received responses from a little bit less than a third of our overall staff members. That's a mix of administrators, teachers, classified employees, folks from sort of all over the district. I know our trustees know this, but a third of responses for a survey is a pretty robust response. And so we do believe that the findings are reasonably representative, although obviously it's not perfect, but reasonably representative of sort of the needs of our staff today. Some of the sort of key findings here: 2% of our respondents do not have access to reliable housing, and only a third of respondents are sort of satisfied with their housing in that they believe it is, quote, safe, secure, and affordable. A little bit less than half of our respondents are considering leaving the district because of the cost of housing, the length of their commute. 70% of respondents indicated that they're interested in workforce housing. And many of them said, that would make them much more likely to stay. The ability to have reliable housing would make them much more likely to stay with the district. These numbers are sort of not a coincidence here, but 85% of respondents had a combination of income and number of members in their household that actually make them eligible for housing, affordable housing specifically. And of those, 85% are interested in workforce housing. Now, again, I don't know that this is necessarily true of everyone in the district, but if you extrapolated those numbers to the rest of the district, we would need 200 units or over 200 units of affordable housing to meet the needs of our staff. Now, not everyone, again, would move into this, but just to set the expectation, that's kind of the ballpark that we're looking at here. And just for context, we did propose 80 to 90 units at the flood school site. Just to set some context, I think there's obviously discussion about whether or not if we were to develop units, they should be rental units or units to purchase. About 3/4 of our staff currently rent. You can see that there in blue. About a quarter own, although a non-insignificant number of respondents don't currently have access to reliable housing. So these are full-time Ravenswood employees who do not currently have access to housing. We asked respondents on a scale of 1 to 5, how concerned are you about your current housing situation? On the left-hand side of the graph here, we can see, I have a safe, secure, and affordable housing option. And on the right-hand side, it's the opposite. I do not have a safe, secure, and affordable housing unit. And a little bit over 35% of respondents scored a 4 or 5, basically saying, I pretty much don't have a safe, secure, and affordable housing situation. We can then look on the left-hand side at whether or not our respondents were interested in workforce housing. Over 70% said that they were. And of those who responded, over 65% said that having that would, on a scale of 1 to 5, make them much, much more likely to stay with the district. We know attrition has been an issue. We know that we're trying to address that through salaries, but the way that housing costs are going up, I think our staff are basically saying this is creating a big issue for us. And then we asked are you considering leaving your current job because of something related to housing, right? 20% of respondents said the cost of housing is causing them to consider leaving their job with the district. And 38% said it's the length of their commute. Now, some said both, right? So if you look at sort of someone who said one or the other or both, that's 43% of our staff are considering leaving the district because of the cost of housing or the length of their commute. The numbers here are and I think folks hear about affordable housing. There's certain sort of stigmas or images that perhaps come to mind. A lot of those are obviously based in let's call it racist tropes. But just to put a little bit of context to what affordable housing means in San Mateo and what the income thresholds are for someone to be eligible for affordable housing. On the left-hand side, and I'm sorry, this is a little difficult to read, you can see the categories that are sort of state mandated: acutely low income, extremely low income, very low income, low income. And then on the top, you can see the number of people in the households. So for example, a family of 4 in San Mateo who makes $55,900 a year would be classified as extremely low income. Anyone in the box would be eligible for affordable housing. So if you were, for example, to pick the top number, a family of 8 who makes less than $196,850, you would be eligible for affordable housing. We did ask survey respondents how many people are in your household and what is your household income. Based on that and using this table, we're able to classify each of our respondents into one of the buckets. What you can see here is 85% of our staff are eligible for affordable housing. Just 15% are not eligible for affordable housing based on their income and household size. And you can see, of that 85% who's eligible, about half are sort of what's called or considered low income, but half are sort of very low or extremely low income. Of those 85%, and this is on the left-hand side here, who are eligible to live in affordable housing, 85% of the respondents, a sort of coincidence there, would like to live in affordable housing. So 85% are eligible. Of those who are eligible, 85% would like to live in affordable housing. I wanted just to put that into sort of numbers here. So the table is kind of, the top is the percentages, and then the bottom is applying those percentages to our 300 staff members. So if you look in sort of the top corner there, or quadrant, I should say, of respondents who do want to live in affordable housing and do meet the income requirements, 73% of folks meet both of those, right? There are 8% of respondents who do want to live in affordable housing, but they make too much money, right? They make too much money to currently be eligible to live in affordable housing, right? So those are sort of those top numbers. And then if you did sort of 73% times 300, approximately the number of staff members we have, be about 219 folks who currently would like to live in affordable housing and meet the income eligibility requirements. This is a map of affordable units in the area. There's many ways to kind of define affordable, but this is just folks sort of earning 50% of AMI, or average market income, in the area at the last available sort of look. And it just is the number of 2-bedroom rental units. As you can see from this map, almost all of the affordable units are concentrated in what is currently Ravenswood School District. Almost none are available. Actually, I'm sorry, not almost none. 0 are currently eligible in the Flood Park area. So in Suburban Park and in Flood Triangle, there are currently 0 affordable units. There are effectively none in most of Menlo Park, with the exception of the Bellhaven neighborhood. I don't want to read all of these quotes, but I will say it was very sort of personally powerful reading the responses of our staff. These are the real words of our staff. I lightly edited it to, fix commas here and there, but this is effectively what our staff said in response to the survey about what housing would mean to you. So that was just the questions. What does housing mean to you? I have in the appendix all of the responses. So I'm not trying to cherry pick some. I just copy and pasted all of them in. You can see what everything is if you want to. There were 3 big categories. First is that housing is a major financial burden for our staff. Second, local housing would allow for staff to become a deeper part of our community. They're obviously such a big part of our community, but when you spend an hour and a half driving each way from Stockton, it's really hard to sort of go that next level. And then the third thing is just the stress and fear and anxiety that comes from not having reliable housing really came out loud and clear among our respondents. The second bullet here of where I live right now, it doesn't feel safe because the building is basically an alley where anyone can just walk through and hang out. Or some of the top ones of, enabling staff to be able to live in affordable housing would allow them to save for emergencies, for retirement, or just to stay at their current job. Again, I'm not going to read all these responses here, but I would encourage anyone listening or watching to really take some time and just thinking about what this means, what this could mean to some of our staff. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation on our staffing survey.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions or comments with the board?
Through the chair, this is very helpful in understanding the needs. So thank you for putting this together. I remember just a few years ago when we considered workforce housing, the numbers weren't strong enough to support for us to move forward with the project at that time. But given that we are exploring housing in one of our properties, this reinforces that need to move forward with that project. So thank you for presenting this to us and reassuring us that we're in the right direction as far as that project is concerned.
I like the presentation. I like the data presented. It's that one slide with like the percentage of like 35% of staff feel like they don't have like stable housing. That's such a crucial number to look at. Because, you know, just looking at our staff, like this is part of the work of education. It's retaining quality teachers and making sure that they can afford to live close or nearby where they work. And so as we continue to move down this road, I think it's important for us to understand that I feel like we're moving into this direction because there's such a great need and we can't ignore it any longer. So thanks. Any other questions or comments? Thanks. Now let's move on to number 10, local control accountability plan. LCAP local indicators.
So the local indicators, we'll do a brief presentation here. Each district must annually measure and report progress on priorities where data is not collected at the state level. These are known as local indicators. And so the State Board of Education approves standards and self-reflection tools for the local indicators to support the district in measuring and reporting progress within the appropriate priority areas. As part of this process, the district must report the results as part of a non-consent item, so at a regular board meeting like tonight, prior to adopting the LCAP. So these are the state priorities. And so tonight, we're going to be reporting on the local indicators that are on the right-hand side there. Priority 1, priority 2, 3, 6, and 7. So there are 5. Here we will be presenting on basic conditions at the school, and I'll go briefly over this as you also had the presentation prior. We are still waiting for the CDE data, which will be posted June 30th for appropriately assigned teachers. But in regards to the access to curriculum, all of our students have been able to receive the instructional materials as needed. And the items around identifying instances where facilities do not meet the good repair standard of the 61, they have all been updated. And so these are examples like leaky faucets, light bulbs that burnt out, tiles missing in the bathrooms, crumbling asphalt, any other major repairs. We hope to address that through the bond. In regards to priority 2, which is focusing on implementation of state academic standards, there are a couple of areas here, and I'll just highlight that here currently we're using a self-reflection tool included within the dashboard that reports our progress on these local performance indicators. And these are the range of the rubric there. And so in regards to progress in providing professional learning for teaching, there you could see why we scored. Some talking points here is that we're in the middle of an adoption for ELA and ELD for TK5. As we mentioned in some communication with the trustees, we're exploring other curriculum for ELA, ELD for TK through 5. And this will be also our pilot year for our new ELA curriculum. And you can see some other talking points as well, is that we'll be piloting in 23-24 our history social science curriculum. Some other examples as well in terms of progress in making standards aligned instructional materials available in all classrooms where the subject is taught. Again, for the history social science, we'll be exploring new curriculum for our middle school. And some other more self-reflections here. In regards to health education content standards, we're going to need to address this and bring it before the board again in the fall. But as Trustee Bloom has stated too, these are requirements. And so we'll make sure that we explore this and give the board some options and more clarity around the curriculum and state law. We'll be also sharing a little bit of update around the priorities for parent involvement and family engagement. There's a self rubric as well that we shared. And in terms of the narrative, some of our strengths is focusing on events like VAPA Parent University held at the middle school in Bellhaven. Our student performances, as we've showcased before with the trustees. Individual meetings with families, as seen, for example, with Los Robles Ronald McNair school site. Our focus areas for improvement is to increase attendance at our school site council meetings and connect with families that we don't see often, and really trying to get information about why and how we can connect with families that we typically don't hear from. We also want to improve engagement of underrepresented families. So leveraging our work with our parent outreach coordinators, our chief strategy officer, and our district family and engagement coordinator. It was very, for me, meaningful to do the canvassing around the bond. It was an opportunity to really get engaged with the community members, but visiting old family families and students of Ravenswood, but also sharing information about where we are as Ravenswood and learning more from the community. So I think it's really important that we do home visits and we check in with families, and we have an equal playing field when we do that and see them more as the authority of what they and what is best for their kids. And us taking a stance of learning from our families. In regards to building partnerships for student outcomes, you see the strengths there. I mean, we can go straight to focusing on areas of improvement is to improve two-way communication and authentic conversations with families, as well as having more frequent and individualized communication. And then, of course, always trying to engage underrepresented families. And then in regards to the decision-making process, some of the strengths there are school site outreach coordinators are constantly trying to communicate with families around some of the decision-making that needs to be done at the school site. Improvements, focus areas for improvement is increase that authentic communication. And not always have it in a more formal formal setting or always in a survey, but really having some opportunities for closing the feedback loops and to show how input is used to make improvements. We didn't get as many surveys back from our Healthy Kids survey this school year, so we are relying a lot on the information from the previous year, which is even more challenging because that was during the pandemic. But you can see some information here where adults and peer relationships, last year 68% reported having supportive adults, which is great, but we definitely want to make sure that that percentage increases where families and students feel that majority of our parents or majority of our team members are supporting, are seen as supportive adults, as well as making sure that there are positive peer relationships. And we definitely want to see that increase as students return in-person instruction for next year. And in regards to social emotional health, last year, 58% reported experiencing sadness and hopelessness. And so we are definitely, in terms of, we're proud about the middle school having more one-to-one adult to student, not one-to-one, but the ratio between adult and students is pretty good in regards to there being like a 1-to-10 ratio almost at the middle school. And being able to catch our students to make sure that we're addressing their social emotional needs. And so the middle school, for example, has academic counselors as well as a social worker in all of our school sites. We're very grateful for the partnerships that we have with Star Vista and Cassie. We've also implemented a new social emotional learning curriculum this past year that we want to build upon as well. For priority 7, we're focusing here on access to broad course of study. So all of our schools run a Title I school-wide program where over 90% of our students are considered unduplicated. All of our students receive same enrollment in courses and access in regards to grade appropriate content areas and instruction. And we use a master schedule for each school to ensure that all students are accessing sufficient core content area instruction and participating in enrichment activities like our specialist classes. In regards to all students having access to the broad course studies, just continuing here, overall students are enrolled in broad course of studying, including core content. Is that redundant? Sorry. Barriers. I'm just trying to figure out how fast and how much information you all need since you did receive this in advance, but moving along. We're really trying to make sure that in terms of Ravenswood is attempting to directly address many of the identified barriers. And taking into consideration the feedback from our community internally to school, we want to make sure that we're addressing unconscious bias, racism. We're trying to improve our staffing retention, and we are definitely always trying to address the needs of our multilingual learners, ensuring that they are not long-term English learners, and always improving and making sure that students have a strong sense of belonging and improving student attendance. And then you can see for the external to school. This is information that we shared in our LCAP around professional development and coaching, training for staff on unconscious biases, recruiting, retaining highly qualified credentialed staff and those expectations, and improvement on our English language development. And as you saw previously in the slides, we still need to improve the implementation of instructional standards around ELD and the implementation of the new curriculum. This information is collected through surveys, engagement with the families, principals also led sessions, and it's embedded in the LCAP local control accountability plan. And additional county information has also been embedded in the local control accountability plan that we hope the board approves on this next item.
Wonderful. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Through the chair, I have one. Why did so few students complete the Healthy Kids survey this year, since they were on campus and it could have been completed in classes?
It's also during the time where we're administering the CASP, we're administering the LCAP. And so conducting something through a survey is what we understand has always been a challenge for us to get information. So I think it's a combination of having to take the CASP again, which we had not done past year, implementing I always say the LCAP, but the English language proficiency test. And then on top of that, the Healthy Kids survey.
So I know I've seen the survey because I administer it to students or have them take it, and it's language complex. It's not an easy one. So I understand that, you know, there could be an issue in administering it since it's done at the same time as all these, you know, state testing. However, it didn't do me any good looking at last year's scores.
Right.
I wanted to know this year, how did the kids feel now that they've had a full year of in-person instruction post-pandemic? And so frankly, I'm sorry, that was not useful information at all. In the future, I'd like to make sure that our teachers know that this is important for us as board members, because we look at that information to make decisions. And around everything that we do. So hopefully for next year, we can make sure that that gets done in class at a time when it is convenient and not too stressful for the kids during state testing. Thank
Do we
you.
have a choice on whether what part of the year we're allowed to administer it, or is it only in the spring?
There's a time, I believe there's a window.
Typically it
just
has
like
been
everything
during the
else.
spring, but I'm happy to explore to see if this is something we can do in the fall as well.
Even if it's not even in the fall, like if it was something like in January,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to think like,
And I know that the language assessment window and the CASP testing window are both later, starting April and then going into May. So if we do a Healthy Kids survey in March before LPAC even is being started.
thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments? As I see none, we can move on to item 10B, which is the consideration to approve Ravenswood's 21 through 24 Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, and federal addendum.
There's no further report on the LCAP. We held a public hearing last board meeting, and again, we incorporated the county feedback, which is a bit of a nuance for the board at this point. There are more details for us to need to address.
Do we have any questions or comments regarding this item? As I see none, I will entertain a motion.
Through the chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 10B.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 11, which is the consideration to approve the 22-23 budget.
Good evening, trustees. We've worked over the last couple of weeks to clean up some things in the budget that was presented several weeks ago. I don't have any major updates or changes since that conversation, so I won't labor the point too much, but happy to answer any questions if there are any, but I don't have a presentation on the budget tonight beyond that presented 2 weeks ago.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item number 11.
I move to approve, item 11, the 2022-23 budget.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Oh, all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 12, which is the consideration to approve the Universal Pre-Kindergarten Plan, UPK.
Hello, everyone. Will is taller than I am, sorry. You have the plan of our proposed universal pre-kindergarten plan for the district. And rather than go through it in detail, because you've got the 15 pages in front of you and there's an executive summary at the top, just wanted to highlight three things about this. One is that the state has made a concerted effort and push to focus on universal pre-kindergarten. That's not just transitional kindergarten, but really thinking about how all 4-year-olds can have a high quality full day learning experience the year before kindergarten. That aligns really closely with what the district has already and always believed in. And so when that push came out from the state with some additional guidelines and recommendations around class sizes and staffing ratios and eligibility, and some additional funding to support planning, implementation, teacher development, it gave a great opportunity to come together, not just within the district, but with members of our broader community, the preschool community that serves the district, the students in this district area, to say, how can we make sure that every 4-year-old has access to a high quality program? And to do it in a way that's really collaborative. Many districts, in fact, I'm told most districts in the state do not have a collegial and collaborative relationship with the preschool providers in their community. Often it's very antagonistic, a sense that, oh, if the district has TK, it's going to be stealing kids from the preschool programs and competing for the same students. It's been really exciting to be part of this district's approach, which is much more collaborative, built on years of relationships built between the local preschools and the district, regular monthly meetings that were already occurring, to say, how can we approach this differently? And so we're excited about the plan that we put in front of you because it's something that is developed collectively and collaboratively with our preschool partners and preschool providers. So we reached out to every publicly funded preschool program that is in our attendance boundaries, as well as anyone serving anybody serving public students at age 4, right? So we said, come on in, let's talk about what our community needs, what our family needs, and how we can support kids getting what they need, and do it in a way that's not competitive, but rather supporting our entire community. From that came a series of several strategies, including expanding our own capacity as a district to offer more spots for transitional kindergartners, in part by expanding the eligibility dates for TK. So when TK first came around, it was kids that were born between September 2nd and December 2nd. The state has said over the next couple of years, all districts should transition to make any kid that's 4 by September eligible. We've decided to say, let's do that this fall. Let's not wait. And let's add capacity. So now we can have a TK classroom at every one of our elementary schools, including our Spanish immersion program at Los Robles, and add more capacity at Belhaven and Castaño. So we're excited to be able to meet this need, welcome any 4-year-olds, and build up the capacity to have the right teachers and instructional aides to support and create a really high quality program for our kiddos. There's a lot of investment in here. We're very excited about it and happy to talk more if there are questions. But one thing I'd also say, both to you to spread the word, board members, and also anyone who's listening on YouTube or watching, is that all kids who are turning 4 by September could be eligible for TK. And we want families to know that. And we're going to be doing some more work this summer to make sure families know so they can come on over and register. Similarly, we want to push, if you have a kid that's coming into kindergarten that's going to be 5 by September, register now. We can plan better. We can make sure we're ready for you, but we want to get those kids. We want to make sure families know about the great programming we have at Ravenswood and get on in so we can get them registered and have them start planning and getting excited about school in the fall. So we'll leave it at that. We're very excited about the opportunities that this presents and the chance to do this in collaboration with our local partners.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Through the chair, I'd just like to say I'm excited about this plan and this program, and I'm happy that we are seeking to enrich that pre-K experience, and also I think will help our students to transition well into their first year with Ravenswood formally. So thank you. I'm really excited about that.
Through the chair, I also want to say I'm really excited for this experience. My son was able to experience this, and just even seeing like the transition going from kids who turned 4, like kids who turned 5 before January 1st, because he barely made that deadline. So it was exciting to be part of it. And then now to see it expanded to anyone who turns 4 by September. The other thing I just also want to note that I think is very exciting is that there's going to be an instructional aide in every TK classroom. And I will say from experience, like kids, especially in that age group, really, really love and look up to the teachers. And I know for my son, when he had the teacher from San Jose State University that came in to do some learning with Mr. G, he was so excited. And so it was just really great to have 2 people be in that classroom and helping kids continue to process and move forward. So this is great. And this is a great plan. And I'm excited to see it implemented and excited to see it at every school.
Thank you. I'm glad with the presentation. The county has really started pushing for universal pre-K and making it a priority across all the communities and focusing in especially on our community here in East Palo Alto. So I think for us to take a stance ahead of time and really prioritize this is just another step forward for the district. And so thank you for your presentation. Any other questions or comments? As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item 12.
I move to approve item 12 for the universal pre-kindergarten plan.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item number 13A. Job description, consideration to approve the job description for a teacher on special assignment tier 2+ / high school readiness support teacher.
Correct. So under the direction of the site administrator at the Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School, this position would build teachers' capacity with a specific focus on new teachers to ensure diverse learners meet the demands of adopted Common Core state standards and effective classroom management strategies. support site administrators and the site instructional leadership teams to plan and implement quality professional student support plans.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments?
Through the chair. So this person would be supporting students who are not receiving other support services during the day, but still need tier 2 support.
Correct. These are students who wouldn't be receiving, for example, special
IEP
education
services.
service. Yes.
As I see no other questions or comments, I will entertain a motion for item 13A.
I'll make a motion to approve item 13A.
You,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0 with trustee Polito stepping out. Item 13B was pulled. So we will move on to item number 14, which is the disclosure of Ravenswood Teachers Association, RTA, and Ravenswood City School District initial proposals for the successor agreement bargaining.
Great. This discussion, President Latu, allows the trustees and anyone from the public to provide input on our initial proposals. And this process is called the sunshine process.
Do we have any questions or comments? As I see none, let's move on to item 15, which is a consideration to adopt the Ravenswood City School District initial proposal to Ravenswood Teachers Association, RTA, for the successor agreement bargaining. As I see no other questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to pass item 15, which is consideration to adopt the Ravenswood City School District initial proposal to Ravenswood Teachers Association.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item number 16, which is a consideration to approve the superintendent's contract. As was discussed, or the board and the superintendent have been in discussion over the last few months regarding the contract. So this is the contract that is presently before the board. So do we have any questions or comments? As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item 16.
I'll make a motion that we pass item 16.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations. Yes.
Through the chair, I didn't know if I should say it before or after, because you never know how these things go, the vote, but I just want to say, I just want to extend a public thank you, and I hope that I have a few times before today. But I just want to, give you your flowers, as often as we can, and just say thank you so much for all the work that you do for us all the time and how you lead, this beautiful district. It's really admirable, and thank you for sticking with us through the hard times and difficult times. And yeah, I'm glad we passed this contract. I feel really good about it. And so thank you, board, and thank you, superintendent.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from our board?
Agree. Thank you.
Yep, what she said. I think you'll also know in a later letter that you'll get is that I continue to believe that you were the right fit for Ravenswood, where we are now and where we're trying to go. So I'm glad that we were able to come together and continue to work towards the education of our young people.
Thank you.
Congrats. Would you like to say anything?
I was going to share just briefly in the superintendent report, but it is a great honor to continue to serve in a district where, again, it's created a passion, and I continue to stay motivated because of the students and the families, and excited about our team that we're having on board, starting effectively July 1 to continue moving forward. Thank you.
Wonderful. Moving on to number 17, which is a consideration to approve the San Mateo County Board of Education candidate policy form and resolution number 21/22-28, calling for an election to be held on November 8th, 2022 for the election of 3 members of the governing board. This is standard protocol, just letting the public know that we will be calling and partaking in the upcoming election, that there are 3 current seats that are up. I believe also in the packet, it discusses the candidate statement. So a policy, the policy statement, and determines whether the candidate statement will be limited. Also the pay for the candidate statement. So last time the board voted against paying for the candidates. We believe that so the stance was the candidates were responsible for paying for their own application. And then if there's a tie votes, it'll be handled the calling for a runoff election or determining the winner by lot. So that is all this wrapped up in a beautiful bow. So I will entertain, unless we have any questions or comments from the board. As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item 17.
Through the chair, I just want to make sure I didn't miss something here. So, so am I not seeing what our stance is in terms of the decisions of the ARV?
So through the chair, as trustee Latu had mentioned, last time, we gave them a limited of 200 words. The candidate was responsible for the payment for their candidate statement. And if there is a tie, it will be determined by a lot.
Gotcha. So that just will remain. Yes, sustain that. Got it. Thank you. Sorry.
I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to pass item 17.
1 second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have to read it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Let me do it. Resolution number 2021-2022-28, a resolution of the Ravenswood City School District calling for an election to be held on November 8th, 2022 for the election of 3 members of the governing board. We resolve a whole bunch of things.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 18, which is the consideration to approve the Board of Trustees governance meeting calendar for 22-23 school year. Do we have any questions or comments regarding the calendar? As I see none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 18.
Thank you.
1 second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. We'll move on to item number 19, which is the superintendent's report.
There is no formal report this evening except to congratulate all the trustees on finishing our last board meeting of the academic school year. So congratulations. I truly appreciate the governance and this diverse group of women who, with divergent thinking, is able to continue to make a difference here in this district. I just stated also that I'm just very much looking forward to the work that we're going to be doing this coming year, especially returning with all of our students in person and focusing on our instruction, along with continuing to build strong cultures at our 4 schools. And the investments that we're doing in regards to new construction and making sure that our facilities reflect the work that we're doing on the inside. It's reflected on the outside, as all of you have already stated. I'm continually being driven by the passion and our mission of the district. And there's so much work to do, but I'm very excited about the team that's ready and it's already working in the background right now in preparation to hit the ground running July 1, which is in a few days. Thank you.
Wonderful. For the minutes, trustee Polito has returned. Moving on to item number 20, which is board report and communication.
Through the, oh,
You want to go ahead or you want to go? Go ahead.
Let's start
Oh,
from the
okay.
end coming down.
I thought they said I could go, sorry.
Okay, through the chair, I did want to just communicate there is a candidate seminar that 2 of us will be hosting for anyone in the public who is interested in running for one of the seats that will be on the election. We will be talking about what it's like to serve on the board. So it'll be me and trustee Alexander leading that on Monday, the 27th at 6:30 via Zoom. So if anyone would like to join, that would be a great time to get an idea of what it's like to run, but also serve on the board.
Thank you, and gonna momentarily take my mask off. My report is that I would like to formally announce that I will not be seeking reelection for this year. And after 12 years, I feel like I've earned the opportunity to explore not only new opportunities, but continue to grow in certain areas, both professionally and personally. And the reason I decide to announce this at this level, which I don't normally do, is because I do want to give the community a notice so that individuals who wouldn't traditionally consider running when there are incumbents seeking reelection would do so during this time. I'm really looking forward to seeing somebody fill this seat that is student-centered, family-centered, community-centered. I am the only Latina on the board. I hope someone from my community comes and represents. And I just really want to give that. I know there's always interest as of late to run for office, but there's always those people that need that extra push and encouragement, knowing that there's a seat open. There is going to be a seat open this year. So I encourage all those who are thinking about it to really look into it. And if Trustee Bloom and Trustee Alexander and Trustee Shabomaheen and Latu all have the experience to probably share their experiences, and I am happy to as well. I'm just excited for the future, and I'm excited about the possibilities of who will take this seat that I'm sitting in today. I hope that Lauren Nunez is somebody that looks for this seat. And I know that I get a hard time because, you know, when Lauren Nunez, who ran the year that I was last elected, she was actually almost sitting with us. And at the very end, Trustee Shabomaheen ended be the one to fill the seat, and we're glad that she did. And then there was, that's right, you went all the way second. And so, and then I know that in this last year, when we had a vacancy with Trustee Fitch, she also came forward with interest. And I know that my vote was the deciding vote to appoint Trustee Latu to her seat, because we had a split decision, and it was my nomination that secured it. But the reality is, you know, we needed a Pacific Islander voice at the dais, at the table. They are one of our predominant populations here in our community. We need to establish that trust, but that was not speaking any less of Laura Nunez and who she was as a candidate. She is a native, she's a Latina, she's educated, she is in education, right? Her career is in education. She's an exceptional candidate. I don't know if she's seeking to run, but what I've gotten to learn about her has been exceptional. I know Trustee Shabomaheen also knows her and has been very supportive of her. And, you know, if it's not her, it's just someone else with those qualities of loving this community, being from this community. I think I'm the only native actually trustee as well. So I'm hoping a native who has been here, grown up here, and knows the ins and outs and can provide that community perspective is really important. So that's why I make this announcement tonight, to give people the month of July to consider their possibilities. And I'm wishing everyone all the best in this next adventure. Thank you.
We should have ended.
Well,
It's like,
following that one. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Trustee Polito. I have watched all 12 years of you being on the board. I was sitting right there when you first were sitting behind this table, and you look totally different now. just have to say that. So Trustee Polito, thank you again for your service and your remaining service for our board. to everybody in Ravenswood, it has been an honor and a delight serving on the board. And I do want to make sure that everybody does realize when you look up at the faces up here that we are your community. We are different races, different languages up here, and we represent all of Ravenswood. And I think that if you look at the board makeups across the district, the districts in San Mateo County, and also the other counties, our district is probably the most diverse when it comes to our board member makeup, and the work that we do for the students in our community. Have a great summer, everybody, and come to, I guess we won't say any names, but anybody who's interested in candidacy, come to our candidate forum on Monday. I'll pass it to you.
Thank you.
I don't know what I was going to say before that because
Exactly.
it went completely out of my head.
Yeah. Just want to clarify, yes, I did come in, I did come in second that race, but not third. I came in right behind
No, I
trustee
said she was
Polito.
third.
Okay.
She was third. And
And
then,
then Fitch, trustee.
and then you,
Fitch.
yes.
Yeah,
And then trustee Fish
exactly.
was second. And then at the end of it all,
Wait,
though,
I
you
was
came.
second, Fitch was second, just saying.
Yes,
Give me my props.
Just for the
Yes.
clarity.
Trustee Shibomini, for the record, came in second place, 100%. We're not taking that from her at all. She came in second place.
it's
Sorry,
time to
for the
go.
record.
It's time to go home. But no, I also want to formally say thank you to you, trustee Polito, for all your service here at this dais and in this community. It's been fun working alongside you. I think I've grown in many ways, working alongside you. And I know we haven't always shared the same opinion, but you know, I was just telling my husband Tunde probably a couple weeks ago, I said, I was sharing how we have different opinions, but I believe your heart is with the community. I believe that you care about the students here. I believe you care about the families and the future of East Palo Alto. And I really appreciate that as a resident of this city and an advocate for the folks here as well. So thank you. 12 years is a long time. It's a long time. Long time. Because 1 year is a long time doing this work. So 12 years is a lot. So thank you so much for that service. And then what I wanted to bring up is I had to miss the last meeting because I was sick, and I'm wondering about our policy for being able to attend meetings via Zoom when we are sick, but you are getting sick outside of that window, right, to provide notice that you'll be attending a meeting via Zoom. Because I was not allowed to attend because it was already past that point. And so is there something that we can do? I think some folks have brought that up before.
Mhm.
Us being interested in that. Is there something we can do where we can still attend meetings, even though it's via Zoom, when it's outside of that window of announcement?
I'll have to look to see if that, yeah, the policy around the COVID could continue where we could host Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that would qualify. So I will definitely look into that. Otherwise it's take a sick leave.
Yeah, because it's an interesting time because it's happened to me twice now,
Yeah.
and maybe some other folks because we are all extra concerned.
Yes.
Right. I don't want to come in here coughing and sneezing on folks, even if I've tested negative, because you just still don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, when you can still participate in the meeting, it would be helpful if there are ways that
Yep.
we could. So I don't know
Yeah.
who we need to press or have a conversation
We
with.
did that earlier and we
Yeah.
approved that as a board. And so I can see if we can in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be able to hold a special board meeting before the August 11th meeting to have that in place. But I would definitely need to explore.
Yes, I thoroughly support that. I agree with trustee Shibomaheen. I also had to miss a couple meetings because of being ill. It wasn't fortunately COVID. Fortunately, it was not COVID, but I'm like, fortunately, it was COVID. Fortunately, it was not COVID. And I think there is flexibility. I know San Mateo County Community College District has a policy in place that allows them to remote in, not necessarily just under COVID sickness. So I know there is flexibility in that. We just have to figure out what that would look like. So I'm very much in support because we have a lot of important things happening. And in some cases, quorums are needed to pass certain items, and we don't want to miss a timeline or opportunity to move the work forward because of an absence.
Yeah.
Due to sickness.
And one more thing, sorry, Trustee Latu, sorry. I just want to say congratulations to everybody at the end of the year, job well done, this last school season. Just thank you for your continued work, and to all the families and, parents and students, have a wonderful summer, and, also the trustees. Thank you for all your work I'm just going and rambling. Thank you for your work also. Okay, I'm done. Go.
Thank you, Vice President Shabot-Maheen. Trustee Polito, I'll save my words for you until December. But thank you for not keeping us all anticipating too long on this announcement. But we wish you the best and whatever endeavors you continue. I have a lot of announcements about upcoming events. The East Palo Alto Faith community will be hosting a Day of Peace at Jack Farrell Park this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is a free event, and a lot of the leaders are coming together in response to a lot of the gun violence and just violence in general that's been happening within our community. So they are coming out and they're looking to host more events to the public so that it reestablishes that safety within our local parks. So that's happening at Jack Farrell Park this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Free food, free activities. Hope you can join them. The city of East Palo Alto is having a community conversation of park safety Tuesday, June 28th, 5:30 p.m. on Zoom. And all this information I will post as well online. As for our staff, congratulations on another year done. To our students, enjoy their summer. But I will also say thank you to everyone who's worked really hard to make our first year back post-COVID successful. I think we had a really great year. And so we're really excited to welcome in our new staff. But I also just want to say to our staff who will not be joining us next year, I wish you the best in whatever endeavors that you are continuing in these new chapters of your life. I'm really grateful to all of our staff that have worked really hard with us. And so I wish you the best of luck. With that being said, the next regular board meeting will be held on August 11th at 6:30 p.m. and open session will be at 7:15 p.m. I will adjourn the meeting at 8:41 p.m. Thank you.